Hi, my name is Brooke Aguirre. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and you're listening to Via's podcast.
Mi bandera lo grito por donde quiera, mexicano 100% no existe ni una barrera, mucho menos nos separa una frontera, con papel o sin papeles yo vivo a mi manera, no me importa en cualquier país, si el cielo se pone negro gris, escuchando a Gerardo Ortiz, celebrando fiestas patrias con dos Génesis, cantamos mariachi y en acapela miramos a...
Hola amigos de Pancho Via's Army, El Sargento here, ready for another episode of Via's podcast. We have, of course, a Coronel with me, like always, by my side. He's, kind of full with all the candy from trick-or-treating. Coronel, you still have your costume on, so you might want to take off that mask.
Yeah, I know, man. No. You know what it is? It's not the mask, bro. I'm hungover, bro. I'm really hungover. I'm not really, full of the candy. I'm more full of the beer and the tequila I had last night. And my voice is gone. I was hosting a party for the kids, so... It was a lot of fun, but I'm super tired. But I'm super excited today, too, because we've got a special guest that we really want to dive right into this. And let's go ahead and just introduce it.
And I'm actually glad, first of all, Conan, that the podcast is not just visual. There's no you don't have to smell, all the stuff that happened after, all the festering of the smell of alcohol and regret, right? I mean, we're
Absolutely.
Good. So besides that, we also have another co-host here today, Ivan. Unfortunately, he's still celebrating the Dodger win for some reason. I don't know why it's a big. I mean, come on, it's over. It's now, right?
I think he got arrested, bro. He's probably arrested.
Yeah, he was doing some kind of rioting or something, right? I don't know what he was doing. So we have a relief pitcher here, relief co-host, and this is Amy from FutMex Nation. She's been kind enough to come and join us. You remember her from our earlier episodes. So just give a warm welcome first to Amy from FutMex Nation. Amy, how's it going?
Hey, Zar. Hey, Coronel. Lucky for you guys, I don't care. Well, not that I don't care. I just have very little feelings for Dodger baseball, so I will not be celebrating the World Series. That's why I was available. But thank you guys so much for having me on.
You're probably the one of 5 fans that wasn't arrested or wasn't out in the streets with the World Series, right?
Yes, that was me at home.
Awesome. I knew it. Amy's always reliable. I was like, Amy, can you help out? She's like, I'm good. I'm good. I don't know what this Dodger stuff big deal is. I don't know. But all right, Coronel, now you can introduce our guests. Go.
Yes, our special guest today is Brooke Aguirre.
Yes.
Brooklyn, you also known as Brooklyn. Brooklyn. Aguirre, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Excellent. Yeah, we were talking about earlier. I was like, when they had a little trouble, I'm like, dude, is it Brooklyn? What's going on here? Is she from Brooklyn? I'm confused with the name.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm just a Mexican American girl from Southern California named Brooke.
Nice.
But I did live in Brooklyn at one point in time. But no, I'm from California.
Awesome.
What part of California?
Well, actually, I was born in Bakersfield, if you're familiar with Bakersfield, Central Valley. But I wasn't raised in Bakersfield. I was raised in this until I was 6 years old in this little farm town, blink and you miss it, called Wasco. So it's about 20 miles north of Bakersfield. So it's a little farm town. That's where we come from. It's where my grandparents came when they moved here in the 20s. So yeah, that's it. And then my mom remarried and then brought us to LA, which is where I'm at now.
All right. LA girl, right. Southern Cali girl.
Yeah, that's why it goes right. Tell us a little about yourself. So we kind of know a little bit your origin there. So, we always like to know more about our guests first, so you kind of already give us a little bio, but tell us something else more about you. Tell us about your journey up to this point, whether it's your career or anything like that you'd like to share with our fans.
Yeah. Well, career-wise, I definitely went a more non-traditional path. So I transferred into university when I was 28 years old. I tried my luck at UT and Columbia University. Didn't think I was going to get into either one. Got into both. Wow. Moved to New York. I chose the Ivy League. I didn't graduate from there, but I did go there for 2 years. And I'm so glad I did, because while I was there, I had the opportunity to be an intern, the first female intern in operations for Soccer United Marketing. I initially went in to be a community relations intern, because that's where my heart still lies, giving back to the community and, working with charities and things like that. But the woman that I was supposed to interview with didn't have time to see me. I was crushed. So sad. So a guy came out. I don't think he's there anymore. His name is Luis Rodriguez. I think he's with IMG now, but anywho, he came out and was like, well, we have a spot in operations with the Mexican national team. Like, if you want, it's yours. And I'm like, what's operations? Like, okay. I'm like, by the way, my Spanish isn't very good. And he's like, they all speak English, so you're fine. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, sure, sign me up. So from there, it just kind of, it really kicked off. I went on tour, doing schoolwork on the road. And that's sort of what kicked everything off. I had no idea what I was doing. But it turned into something great. So it just kind of snowballed and my network grew. So I did that for a few years with the Mexican national team. I worked at Beats by Dre in sports marketing. I moved on to Relevant Sports, which is still an agency in New York City. I lived in New York and I went twice cross country. But at Relevant, I worked with Real Madrid, Manchester United, just touring with these big, huge teams, doing all of the logistics and all of the behind the scenes stuff that nobody really thinks about when you go to a match. Like the children that walk out with the players, like I had to feed them. I had to make sure that they were all accounted for and meet their parents at the end of the game and they cry. And that was just one part of it. And then that job ended. I came back to LA, freelanced for a while. And most recently, I was an event manager at NBC Universal. And I thought, like, cool, I hit my stride. Like, I'm chilling. Like, I'm in LA. I work for a really cool network. And then COVID came. So, I'm currently for hire, but everything happens for a reason. So I'm using this as a way to pivot back. I want to be where my heart is. I want to work back in soccer. In what capacity or what team, I don't know. But I'm hopeful that'll kind of come full circle after this pandemic.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I think the one thing that when you're passionate about something, you just want to do it. So obviously soccer, and I'd like to get a little bit more background about soccer for you. But I mean, that's kind of what Amy does. Amy does that right now. I mean, she's been diehard soccer since she was little, right, Amy? I mean, this is what you do. This is what you love, right?
Yeah, Brooklyn, going back to that, so did you start with some, like when some became some, or how long after were you part of it? And what was that like to be at like the beginnings of, if you were just like that organization, that new foundation of how they were going to go with the national team?
It was, I like to think of it was still in startup mode. So the year was the fall of 2009. So it was still very much a startup. I haven't been in that office since that time. So I think it's a little bit different now. But when I was a part of some, it was the wild, wild west. So my boss, I don't know if maybe you've met him. His name is Paul Mendez. He's from San Diego. He's this big guy with blue eyes, and he was the consultant for the team. So that was my boss. But he was a consultant through some. So everything was kind of all over the place, but in the best way possible, because there weren't like a lot of rules, like when we traveled, like we stayed in cool hotels, and there weren't a whole lot of rules, but you kind of had to set your own boundaries in that respect. But it was a lot of fun. It was cool. I think now it's a lot more buttoned up because they had to, but at the time that I was there, I'm very fortunate that it was kind of like, okay, we're just kind of winging it,
I'm picturing like, any startup, right? So it's kind of like Wild West. Everybody's just enjoying a good time, kind of figuring things out as you go. No, I also mentioned no like corporate, rigor. It was just like, hey, do you want to do this? Sure, let's go, right?
Exactly.
We don't have to check with HR. We don't have to do all this, this tape that we see a lot, right? So that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know any other huge sports, conglomerate or whatever that would just come in and be like, hey, do you want this job? Like, cool, it's yours. Like you couldn't see the girl for community relations, but here you go. I'm like, okay.
But I love how you responded though when you said, do you want to do this for the the national soccer team or the Mexican? And you went, instead of going, what's this about? You went, what's operations? You just go like, oh hell yeah, I know all about the soccer team, but what's this operations thing? Like, I want to know.
Yeah, I had no idea because as you go on in your career, operations means a lot of different things in different companies. Like sometimes it's like logistical stuff that you don't really know, but operations within a soccer team, it's sort of like you're the team administrator. You have a small team. It was myself and two other guys. I mean, we would buy the shampoo and the soap at Target and put it in the locker rooms. Like it got that minute. Or making sure that there was ice in the locker rooms. All kinds of little things like that no one really thinks of, but there is someone who has that job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kind of like a hospitality, like what do they call those, concierge or whatever? No, is that the right
Yeah,
word?
concierge,
Yeah.
event
Okay.
planners.
Yeah.
There's so much, I guess, so many different titles, but it's like
Yeah,
it sounds like you did it all though, right? Like you were
did.
just like from taking care of the kids at walk and making sure they weren't crying. Maybe
Yeah.
none of them peed their pants, so you have to take them to the bathroom or
Yeah,
something.
I'm sure that happened a few times. Yeah, because they were little. I mean, even sometimes the uniforms wouldn't fit, and you have to explain it to a parent, like, hey, like they're just too little to be on a field, and the things don't fit, and parents would be like, I don't care, like my kid is okay, cool, like
No
it was
wonder, because I
wild.
do see the kids walking out there with these big
Hmm.
old like
Yeah,
monster
Jerseys.
uniforms. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I
yeah,
mean, it's good, right? It's all cool. It's all cool.
yeah. I mean, anything that could go wrong always went
Did.
wrong.
Oh,
Like 100%, 100%. And the days are super long. Like on a match day, especially for the national team, we would arrive at the stadium at 11:30 or 12, and
mhm.
we're there until 11:30 or 12 at night. So those are super, super long days, and you just kind of roll with the punches on things like that.
I think
Are
what you're
you?
giving us is that perspective of what goes on behind, these big
Hmm.
events. Because as a fan, we see the show, right? We're there to
Yeah.
be entertained and everything runs smooth. If something goes wrong, we probably don't know about it unless it's like a
Hmm.
major thing, right? But
Right, right.
I imagine on your end, there's so many things that have gone wrong to get to that point, and you just have to adapt. And I mean, just thinking about kids in general. I mean, Amy
Yeah.
is a parent, I'm a parent,
Hmm.
Coronel is a grandparent, great grandparent, Coronel,
Great grandparent.
and we have to, with dealing with kids is not easy. So I
Yeah.
mean, I
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
give you
yeah.
props on that. That's just like a lot of work. So I'm
No,
like,
like
Yeah, and that was
what?
just
I mean,
one little pinpoint in it, but yeah, it was a lot.
we get to the stadium as journalists like 3 hours before
Hmm.
game day, so I can only imagine. And Brooklyn, for you, like you said, you guys were kind of in that whole like no holds bar kind of era of some.
Hmm.
Now looking at it, even if at as an outsider, I guess since you no longer work for the organization,
Hmm.
has the fan base grown more, or was it even pretty big once the national team started coming for games here in the U.S.?
It was always huge. It might be larger now, just maybe because maybe more people are paying attention to soccer. But every game, every match was sold out. Mexico sells out stadiums. They're like a huge money-making machine. So there was never, ever a match that had empty seats, ever. Like it was just wild.
And as somebody personally speaking, because I do cater to covering it from an English language format,
Hmm.
how much of that have you seen grow? How I guess the question is how little English language coverage was there when you first started over with some?
I don't think there was any really, maybe just highlights. So our partners, I believe, were Fox Sports, I think at the time. Unless they were playing in a tournament like Gold Cup or something, then it would get the coverage. But if it was just a friendly of Mexico, I don't think they were ever broadcast or talked about or I mean why would they be, like
Mhm.
just because it wasn't the US team. Um but yeah, now it's great, and I love the crossover of Spanglish and people, are really embracing, which you should. It should have been like that, all along. But I guess it's sort of a learning curve, and to see like, oh, people actually really like the Mexican national team, but you're like a fourth generation Mexican. It doesn't matter,
Right.
like there is no other team in the world like the Mexican national team. I mean,
Absolutely.
you guys saw the coverage of Russia.
Yeah.
They're singing Cielito Lindo in the streets. Like
Yep.
probably in Russian. It's crazy we have that
Absolutely.
kind of impact, which is great.
Absolutely. Plus, I think times have changed. Obviously, when you first started with Zoom, and now we've
Hmm.
got all this social media. There's so much more access to it.
Hmm.
At the snap of your fingers, just the click of the keyboard, and right away. Just the other night, I was watching boxing highlights of like Oscar De La Hoya,
Hmm.
Triple G. Just like you can go back and watch all those old fights, and
Yep.
that's cool. And so like now with social media, I mean, we're talking about soccer here. There's other podcasts talking, analyzing the game, analyzing the
Hmm.
teams, and you got pictures, you got these great pictures, great videos, and people there's so much more access. When I was younger, we didn't have that. We did not have that at all. So uh,
Yeah. I
times have
mean,
changed, definitely.
I wish there was well, there was in 2009, but it was still so fresh. Not
Mhm.
everybody used it. I wish I would have had an Instagram then, because I would, well, like professionally, probably not the best idea, but like just all these pictures. I have a laptop. It's completely dead, and I have so many photos on there just of memories and things. I wish I would have, had some place to store them. And Um, but
It's
yeah.
it's funny you think about like, you just said that about the laptop. There's people that probably have a closet. Remember back then you used to have like actual photos you had to go and
Oh yeah.
go and get them,
Develop.
24-hour reveals or whatever.
Yep.
But now people have probably laptops in their closet of like, oh, here's the album in this laptop of all my pictures.
Yeah.
It's like how things have changed. It's insane.
Uh-huh.
Dude,
Yeah.
I used to hate those because you would take the picture and then you're like, oh, this is gonna be a great picture, and you go and you get it developed,
Worry.
and
I know,
it's
it's
jacked
gnarly.
up.
Yeah.
Oh my god! It's like at least now you can actually just nope, scroll, nope, delete it,
Right?
delete it.
And they're all Photoshopped now and filtered.
Oh yeah.
But
100%.
what do they? I bet you Brooklyn does this. I bet you do this. You take a picture and you're like, let me see. Okay, post it. No, don't. Take another one.
Prove it.
Okay,
yeah.
post that one. Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday Halloween, I was with my mom and my brother, and yeah, same thing. My brother's like, okay, no, like just put the camera on timer and take your own pictures. Like, no.
He was done.
All
He was
right.
done.
But going back to the events and stuff, you said it's really changed over time. I wonder if you've seen, actually I want to talk about this right now. Actually, what are some memorable moments that were just like, this is something I'm never gonna forget? Like this is definitely one of the craziest days, or just something that stands out to you that you just can't, it's one of those stories you always tell people that this is just something that I can't believe happened.
Yeah. Straight away, Gold Cup 2011. It was Mexico. They played the U.S. That's a great game, in my opinion. I was responsible for sourcing the trophy girls, just part of the job. Like, okay, cool. So I found some pretty girls, and great. One of them didn't show up. I even had to go buy their dresses. So I had to go to I don't even know where I went, some cheap store, and just bought some tight black dresses. And one of them didn't show up. So my boss, Paul Mendez, I was so scared to tell him because he's an intimidating man, but very kind. But Paul, a girl didn't show up. I don't know what to do. We're short a person. And he looks at me dead in the eye and he's like, well, you better hope that dress fits you. And I was like, what? What'd you say? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah. He's like, you're going to have to fill in. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm 5'3". I'm not a model. I don't know how to do this. So, I did. Yeah. All hot and sweaty, from the day from running around the stadium, put on this black dress. I mean, it's still on YouTube. It's all over the place. But
is it this one right here?
Is it this one?
Oh my god! Yeah, I'm not a natural blonde, by the way. But yeah, it was crazy. I had to and I'm still friends with those other guys too. They work for Concacaf, and they live in Miami. And they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Paul told me to do it," so I had to.
I'm just trying to figure out what is going through your mind in that photo. You're probably going, "Yeah, this is great." I don't even know why this is.
I forgot to put deodorant on or something. What was this? What happened? Is this like a trophy presentation? How did it? What were you supposed to do? Just stand there and
look cute. I think we handed out the medals to the losing team, to the U.S.
Yeah.
So we had to do that. We had to just stand up there and just look cute. I was so tired. I had been running around all day. I was sunburnt and just oh my god. And when I look back on it, I'm like, man, that would never happen again. Who does that? I'm like, I do.
Would it be the end of the world to have one less trophy, girl? I mean,
yes. At the time, I guess it would have been the end of the world, and I was like, all right, cool. So I had to do that.
That's changed though, right? Don't they have now just employees do it, or just people part of Concacaf organization do it? Or I feel I haven't seen that anymore. As part of a closing ceremony.
I think another way things have evolved. I mean, let's be honest. How sexist is that? Is handing out trophies. So I think it's kind of evolved past that, which is, I guess, a good thing. But at the time, it was pretty funny.
Well, I guarantee you, because I was at the Rose Bowl, right? So I guarantee you that was Amy was probably in the crowd watching that game. That's the one that Gio scored, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, I ran around.
Yeah, no, I was at home that game. I had just graduated high school, so I was at home watching that game. I remember.
High school.
That was a big game, man. Yeah. I was at a bar. I wasn't there either, man. I was at a bar just freaking man, that was just one of those goals that you just can't forget,
Oh yeah, it's iconic actually. And then a few years later was the Concacaf Cup. I think when was that? 2016 or 15? Same.
15. Yeah.
Yeah,
late 15.
to determine Confederations Cup or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a thing, but I worked that game as well, and I legit had heat stroke the next day. I woke up and I'm like, why do I feel so like hungover? I'm like, I didn't drink. But anyway, yeah, I was on the field, and that was a wild game too, you know. And like one of my counterparts, she's still at MLS. Her name is Johanna Rojas, and total cool chick. Like she does like all the PR and things like that. But it was us just kind of walking around, and every time there's a goal, you know, like if you've been to a Mexico game, beer, you know, beer goes up in the stands and they throw it on you. So we were just soaked in beer, and like we would run into the tunnel to be like, no, don't get my hair. But
So I know that we're. Go ahead, Rich.
No, just because there's so many moving parts. So I'm assuming, for example, like now it's a little bit more structured, right? Now they've, like you said, they've kind of worked out the kinks and let's not do this, let's do this. Because even after the games, and Amy knows because she's obviously been on the field, you know, they bring the backdrop, you know, like the portable backdrop, and they do the interviews, and are you part of that as well, like to kind of organize? Okay, after the game, this television is going to do the interviews, and you move the stuff to the background, and you're like trying to keep people out of the shot. I mean, that's pretty much? I mean, that's one of the small pieces you do, right?
Yeah, I mean, being like a security, also checking people's credentials, making sure that they have the proper credentials to be on the field. You know, policing the tunnel. That was never fun, but it was part of the job. But yeah, so my job would work hand in hand with the PR people and the media people on our team to make sure that people were in the right place at the right time. So again, it goes down to like the timing of things, and you know, every game has a script, obviously, right? Like, you know, the introductions and kickoff and 2-minute warnings and things like that. So it kind of all came into play. Like if there was a trophy presentation, we would have to make sure that people were in their places at the right time and that they go, because time is money. So if things go over, you get fined, and there's all kinds of rules for TV and things. Yeah.
For the times that Coronel or Zarge, I don't know if you guys have been part of it. You know, Sarah, obviously a great friend to all of us. You know, for like Wells Fargo, like meet and greets, or like when you're gonna go and see the players in the like before the game for the trainings, it's like a 10-minute window, but it's so insane because we sometimes do like behind the scenes stuff for that at FutMex Nation. It's so insane of like how much prep goes into just like those 10 minutes that the fans get to go watch the team warm up before the game, because like all of the prep, and then they're there, and like you're as a journalist, you're like catching them reacting to, you know, being able to see the players. And then from one moment to the next, Sarah's like, okay, come on, we got to go. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, it's pretty insane. But you guys have to prep all of that, you know, getting them there, which sponsors get to stand in which section of that side of the field. Like, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it really is. And then, you know, when you do have these VIPs or people who win these contests, you also have to just make sure that the experience is an amazing experience, because for a lot of people, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So it's also up to us to, you know, provide that level of service, you know, to make sure everybody has what they need and they're happy and they get to have the best experience possible. Which is also what I really like too. I think I really, really enjoyed seeing people's faces, you know, like when they get to meet these players. Because for me at the time, like seeing Chicharito, like whatever, you know, like because it's just you're immune to it, you know. It's like he's just like a dude,
just like a regular guy.
Or or who else? Like Cristiano Ronaldo, like
he's not. Cristiano's not just a regular guy though.
That's just a god.
Right? I mean, but when you work with them, it's just like okay, whatever, you know. But like when you, especially the little kids, you know, I would get so much joy from that. Like they would look at them like, oh my God, you know, and I would have to tell them like, it's okay. Like you can interact with them. They're not going to hurt you. And then sometimes I would shake their hand or do things like that, which is really, really nice.
It seems like it's so rewarding. I mean, but basically, so here's a couple of things that I'm hearing, right? It's like, it's work. So a lot of people that kind of see from the back end going, oh, that, you know, that's just such an easy job. I can do that. I can jump in. But what you're telling me, it's not, right? It's a nonstop, constantly being on the schedule, keeping people in check, making sure people are safe. But it's also rewarding. A lot of it's rewarding, right? And this is probably why you really love what you do, and what we love what we do, right? Is being and seeing those moments and the thing that kind of drives you and motivates you to go in, you know, for the next match or the next event. Right?
Yeah, I mean, they're long days, and you know, we're not wearing sweats and like workout gear. Like, you know, the men have to wear suits, so they're running around in their suits and it's hot. Like I always had to wear a dress and like like wedge shoes or whatever. So imagine running around, like in nice shoes, a dress, hot, sweaty, you're tired. Sometimes you don't eat. And if you do eat, it's like a churro or something. And you're like,
whatever
like,
you can grab pretty much.
It's pretty much what I go through myself and a lot of the captains. Whenever there's a game in a specific city, we get there early. We have to meet, and we have to meet. In this case, it might even be someone like in your position, Brooke. We're going to bring the instruments in. We're going to bring the flags in. This is where you're going to sit. You take us in there, and then you bring it out. We go to the tailgate. We have to do this, and so a lot of times we do have awesome tailgates, but all of it's work. So I'm usually working and this and that, and then the game starts, and maybe it's just I'm gonna bet this rings true for you. Maybe I'm wrong, then let me know. But once the game starts, that's kind of like your breather, like okay, because it's like game starts, and then halftime comes, and you go again, and then when game ends or right before the game ends, boom, you got to be on it.
Work again.
Yep.
Same thing with me. As soon as the game starts, it's like, oh, okay, relax. I can relax for a little bit because then obviously we've had those opportunities to have the meet and greets. So I need to be able to grab some fans, go meet us at gate C.
Oh my God, yes.
I got to be there. And then I can't find you. Where you at? You're texting, and then you don't
in the
get
restroom.
signal.
Hurry up!
And you don't get enough signal in the stadium, and you're like, oh my God! And then you finally find it. We gotta go over here. And then you're sitting there, and you got a 10-minute window when it's a meet and greet with the player, and then okay, thank you very much. We gotta go, and then just kind of make sure everybody leaves and not running around the stadium and do this. It's a lot of work, and
it is. It's a lot. But I loved it. It was so much fun. I really miss those days. I mean, I miss any sort of sport in these times right now, but especially working, I just really, really miss it. So hopefully, some opportunities will come up again, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So I'm curious. I'm curious to know. So you have a lot of stories, right? But it seems like you had a lot of requests too, from either players or staff. What was the craziest request you got from any staff or player that you're just like, they want what? And you had to go and get it?
Oh my God, yeah. It ties into media. So I think it was Manchester United. They're the ones who caused the problem, but they were playing the Galaxy at the Rose.
Whatever.
And they, I'm pretty sure it was. Each team travels with media. Like they have some media that travels with them or whatever. For whatever reason, and part of my job was to make sure that the media had their box lunches, waters, box lunches, and just make sure they're fed and watered. So,
watered, hold them down.
So we're there, I think it was around 4:00, and my counterpart on Man United, her name is Mimi, said, oh, we have like 50 other media people coming in, they need to eat. And I'm like, okay, well, the food is already ordered. Like, there's no way, like, I can't do it. And my boss told me, he's like, well, figure it out. So I called, make it happen. I don't care how you make it happen, but you don't have the option to not make it happen, Brooke. So I'm like, all right. So I make some phone calls, and no one at the stadium can get any of these box lunches. So I had to call Wolfgang Puck downtown, which isn't far from the Rose Bowl, but mind you, I think it was a Tuesday, middle of the week, bumper to bumper traffic. And they're like, yeah, we can get you these box lunches, but someone is going to have to come and pick them up. So I'm like, well, I can't. I don't have a car here. Like, how are we going to do this? I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that I had my intern drive down, and she's from New Jersey. Like, she didn't drive, like
she's on taxi.
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure she got in the car, someone's car, drove downtown, picked those box lunches, and brought them back. And just by like right on time, no one ever knew. No one knew anything. Like, but
Brooke's like, this is totally planned, and she's like sweating bullets.
Yeah.
Totally, like crying in the closet, like, oh my God, what's happening? What am I doing with my life?
Dude, that is crazy, because especially if anybody's been to the Rose Bowl, it's terrible down there. I mean, traffic bumpy. You're in these neighborhoods. And there's nothing really nearby. I mean,
you have to like go down and like curvy.
Even as an LA native, like when there's games at the Rose Bowl, I'm just like, no, my mom, my dad, somebody drop me off, because I am not dealing with parking coming in or parking going out. Like, I'm not going to deal with it. Yeah. You're just.
That is wild. That is funny. That is funny.
Now it's funny.
I had a feeling it was definitely those moments.
That was. even as a journalist, what Brooklyn said, I definitely get those feelings. Like now in retrospect, or like, things that have happened before that were just like stress inducing. You're like, oh, that was kind of funny, but you still
Yeah.
remember, you still get like
I
those
know. I'm like,
repressed
ooh.
emotions.
Yeah.
Get like withdrawals where you start to like, oh man, there goes the
I
heart
know.
rate.
I wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh
But it feels
God.
good. But it feels good once
It's
you're
that
done.
it's like an adrenaline rush,
Adrenaline
right?
rush, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like adrenaline rush for
Yeah.
sure.
Hey, Brooke, I'm gonna ask you a question about the fan side of it. So, what is the craziest? Have you experienced any kind of crazy fan action, like maybe streaking on the field or sneaking into
Yeah.
locker rooms or anything like or hotels? I mean, is there
Oh yeah.
anything that
Hotels.
sticks out in your mind? Is there?
Yeah, hotels are a lot of there's a lot of things that I probably can't even say. I'll get in trouble. But and that because we all stay in the same hotel, like the team and staff or whatever. So yeah, like there's some things that go on in hotels and you're like, I didn't see
Is there
nothing.
anything you can share with us, like of a crazy fan, something that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, well, not even with Mexico. So the craziest fans I would say are Bosnia and Herzegovina.
What?
There's a huge population of Bosnians, I think in like St. Louis. So whenever Bosnia plays, they drive or fly or whatever. Like they come in mass and they're
Mhm.
crazy. So yeah, they light toilet paper on fire. Like they get real down in the
Right.
stands. Yeah,
Oh,
and like
just like the Dodger fans when they won the World Series.
Yeah, exactly.
kind of, yes. But yeah, like things like that are where you're like, okay, are we all gonna light on fire? Are we all gonna die? Like, what's happening? But yeah, I mean, and then of course Mexican fans, they occasionally they'll throw a beer on you, and you're like, really, bro? Like, why would you do that? But for the most part, respectful. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Did
the
you?
Bosnians.
Wow, that's
Wow.
crazy. Did
Yeah, I
you?
never thought that. Go ahead.
Did you travel when Madrid made their tour here like a couple years ago? Maybe what 3 years ago?
Yeah, so I worked, that's when I was with Relevant Sports. So I worked
Uh-huh.
there for about a year and a half, and we did I worked with them on two tours. So in 13 and 14 is when I was touring with them. So yeah, that was fun. They
Because I
were
remember
very,
we did Madrid. They were coming into town. They played here in Phoenix, right? So
oh yeah,
they played
I know that stadium.
against oh man, I don't remember who they were playing.
Uh-huh.
But obviously we're big Madrid fans or
Mhm.
Ronaldo fans, so I usually take the kids to the airport to go meet the players and whatnot.
Oh
So
yeah.
so we're heading down to the airport and there are fans out there just waiting for
Hmm.
for them to fly in. A friend of mine comes in who shall remain
Hmm.
nameless, calls me because El Coronel has all the contacts, right? I got all the networking.
Oh yeah.
Rich, they're not coming in on their regular, on international flights at the airport. I mean, they're coming in on the private hangar on a
Oh,
private jet.
murder, yeah.
So he goes, go to
Hmm.
this hangar, get out of the airport, and go to this private hangar, and this is what you
Uh-huh.
do. So he told me what to do. So I told the kids, let's go. And they go, no, but they're coming. I go, trust me, let's go. So we went, got in the
Uh-huh.
car, drove around because it's at the same airport, just a little bit down the
Hmm.
park. I go, just walk in like normal, act like. So we walk in this private
Act
private
natural.
hangar and just kind of like hanging at the waiting spot and just kind of like me and 4 kids. I think it was four of us. Five.
Uh-huh.
So we're just sitting there waiting, and the thing that gave us away was the Real Madrid kits, right?
Uh-huh.
Sitting there, and I was gonna rent. I was gonna rent. I knew they were gonna stay at the Ritz Carlton, and I go, I'm gonna
Hmm.
rent a room there, and that way we can have access. But I just, for whatever reason, they didn't. It was pretty cheap. It really wasn't
Uh-huh.
much. So we're waiting there, and we see the plane come up, and then we start to all of a sudden we see a bunch of SUVs, Audi
Hmm.
SUVs, just zoom zoom
Oh
zoom.
yeah, Audi. That's a
They
sponsor.
walked they walked out of they walked off the airplane right into the cars. So they didn't even come into the hangar. So we were this close, and we saw them.
Oh.
We're like, oh my god! And my daughter's like, Dad, we got to go to the hotel. Fine, let's go. So we all jump in the car. We take off. We beat them down to the hotel, and
Uh-huh.
and I pull up to the front, and then the guy goes, valet? Yeah, sure. So he takes my car, and we walk into the hotel. And at that point, the Ritz Carlton knew, the jig was up, so they started
Yeah.
pulling fans back. And we're in the lobby, and then we're watching players come through, and we're this close to getting, we're this close to meeting the players, and we almost tried to blend in because they were having a private event, like a signing event for the
Hmm.
some company out here. I don't know who it was, and we almost kind of blended in, but we got caught by security. And so they told us,
They're
hey,
like, yeah.
yeah, you got to go. I'm like, wait, my car. I'm waiting for my car from valet. They're like, oh, okay. So, and then the guy's like, you don't even have a room here, So the jig was up, right? but we were this close, like this close to getting, and that's when everybody was here at that team. But
Yeah.
I mean, we almost did it. We almost, but
So
we're
close.
crazy.
Yeah,
Fans are crazy.
I mean, it shows like again, there's so much, much going on in the back end that they already know, like, okay, I got to watch out for this and certain
yeah.
things. And Coronel, even though he tried to blend, they're like, yeah, these guys are definitely fans.
Yeah, and
I can see your kids' faces like,
I know.
Yeah.
And there's always staff, like for myself too, like we would always go to the airport like an hour before they would land, for any team that I was working with, and making sure everything went off, without a hitch. But then, there were times where, again, being in operations, that they're like, okay, Brooke, like you have to pick up so-and-so player or whatever, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. So like I would have to get in this big SUV, and I lived in New York at the time, so I didn't even drive all the time. So I was all nervous.
So which is the gas and which is the brake?
I know. I was like, oh my God. And driving in cities that like I don't live in, like I don't know like my way around. And makes me remember a time I had to pick up, what's his name? I think I wrote it down. Massa Rodriguez. And I don't even know where he's playing at now, but I had to pick him up from the airport, and he's a good looking dude. He's all tall, whatever. And like, I was kind of nervous, and because I was by myself and there were two other players, there was like three of them. So we're driving, and he speaks a little English because I think he was playing in Germany at the time. So anyway, so we get to the hotel, and there's like media out front, per usual. And I don't know what happened to me, but I got like really nervous, and I fully like crashed into the curb. Not crash, but like enough where people were like, what? And then he gets out of the car, and he's like kind of mad. And then my boss, Paul, was like, he doesn't care, right? And then Paul's like, oh, like Massa, Brooke will take you to go get food if you're hungry. You've been on an international flight. And he's like, no thanks. He's like, mm-mm. And I was like, oh, mortified. I'm like, dang, how embarrassing.
yeah.
The media, right away, the media. This is where Amy jumps in, right? Amy's like, the assistant to the players all went out partying, and they got to the hotel drunk, and that's why she hit the curve.
Oh yeah.
No, well, that's what I was gonna ask, Brooklyn. Did anybody like record this and then it like not go viral, but was it on the internet at some point?
I know, right?
I mean, I don't think so. No. Again, because social media wasn't like it is now. I don't even remember what year this was. It had to be like 2012, maybe 2011. But yeah, so I'm sure there's footage of it somewhere. But yeah.
Nowadays, I don't think that would have slid. It would have been all over. Yeah, for sure.
Right? It was just like boom into the curb. Like, oh my God, mortified. I'm like, wow, what a loser. Like, learn to drive.
Wow.
I mean, it's really cool that all connecting with all these players. I'm curious to know what are the teams that you follow? What are your clubs that you follow in various leagues? Do you have
Yeah. Real Madrid, that's my team. That's like my go-to, my number one, my dudes. And I like America. Sorry.
I'm off.
I'll stay.
Yeah, I mean,
man,
yeah.
I should have done a better screening, Coronel. I should have just done I should do like a checklist.
And I have like kits, they're so pretty and colorful, so I like to wear them every so often when I visit family down in Orange County too, and like people are like, I swear it's like wearing a red cap almost. People look at you like they want to just kill you. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, especially certain neighborhoods, I imagine. And it's like, what? America, right? Like, that's funny.
Totally.
What about so Mexico? Is Mexico your team for sure? Or when it comes to Mexico, U.S., yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
are you sure?
Are you sure?
I am sure, yes.
Now feels betrayed, so now he has to just check everything.
I gotta double check everything.
Hold on, let me see. Let me do my research real quick. Is there any evidence of her wearing another jersey here?
Oh yes. Oh no!
No,
Brooklyn, no! But they weren't playing Mexico. Like, oh my gosh.
No, actually, okay. So this brings up a really good point that I've always wondered. For me, absolutely not. Like, no way, no how, regardless if Mexico's not playing. But how do you guys feel, Coronel and Zarge? Like, no. Like, not to say, like, Brooklyn's wrong. I just always wonder that, like, your own personal preference.
I just like giving people a hard time. So, like, I mean, for me, I got to give her the benefit of doubt. Maybe it was a bet. Maybe, she got her shirt stained and someone said, hey, here, wear this. And she's like, okay, thank you, stranger. But
my
she's kind of
God.
celebrating. I'm assuming she's celebrating the Mexico goal wearing that jersey. So maybe that's what happened.
That's it. Yes.
For those who do follow Brooke on her social media, that jersey actually says Brooklyn across the back. So that is legit her jersey.
No, I mean, also the folks that are listening to this and not watching the video, there's a picture of Brooklyn celebrating at like a bar. It looks like.
Yes.
And she's wearing that famous Bomb Pop jersey that the US had. So.
I mean, it was fashion.
It was a gift. No,
Brooklyn, was that the game against Belgium? Were you there for the game against Belgium?
No, I don't know what game that was for that we were watching. Yeah.
Well, that's a great picture, though. I mean, it's great. It's like an awesome.
Picture. It was cool. It was a cool moment when I saw that. I'm like, oh my god, this is so weird.
You know what happened right now? Actually, I don't know what it was, but I just somehow shared this on my social. Oh, wrong one. Sorry, I shared this on my social media, and then I got this message that popped up. I don't know what it's all about. I don't know if you guys ever had this. So I shared this picture. And then all of a sudden I got this from my Instagram. I don't know what happened there.
Dude, have you guys been? I got some videos removed, and they were saying the content that you're using may not belong to you, so we're removing your videos. I've noticed that a lot. They're doing that a lot. They're really like your videos and what you're posting. I mean, even one of our last podcasts on YouTube, they blocked it, said that, I don't even know what, I forgot. I don't even know
they said there was something, we're like, I don't even know. We try to figure out what it was, but they wouldn't give us any context either. So that's kind of
Have you guys experienced any of that, Amy? I mean, I know you use
Amy posts a lot of stuff too, Amy. Have you ever had anything?
Well, if you guys have noticed this, I'll give the insight to Via's Army, like quote tweet everything as much as possible. That's just my insight, especially from Europe. If you're gonna share a Chucky goal, a Tecatito goal, whatever, make sure you quote tweet it. Don't. I know we all do it sometimes where we share the video itself because you can grab it on Twitter. But yeah, they're getting really strict about that stuff. So I would just recommend quote tweeting it, because the last thing I want to see is more people's accounts getting blocked. Except in Zarg's case right now.
Weird.
Elaborate for folks that don't know what that is. What is quote tweeting?
Quote tweeting is when you don't retweet it or you don't just share that video, because you can do that on Twitter. I'm sure anybody who's listening to this, it's like if you hold the video on Twitter, you can make it so that it's your video, so to speak. It'll still give that attribution to the original video person that originally placed it, but like copyright infringements and all that stuff is, especially right now with everything that's going on in the US, it's getting more strict, and they're restricting it a lot more. So just quote tweet it. That means like have the block of the original tweet and then just put your own caption at the top, because copyright infringement's getting real serious right now.
I know. Wow, that's wow. Brooke, have you seen that on any of your social medias by chance?
I haven't. No. I mean, I'm not that cool, I guess, but to have that kind of attention, no, I haven't.
You're gonna get one day, because you also do a YouTube video on cooking, right? So you're gonna have some abuelita that go, "Hey, that's my recipe, fucker. That's mine. She took it."
I mean, who knows, right? Speaking of abuelitas, have you seen that YouTube? The abuelita, she's in like Michoacan. She has 3 million followers or something.
Oh,
no. Send you a link.
I think my dad. So my dad's been really into YouTube during this quarantine, like insanely. Like he follows like gardeners and stuff. So I'm pretty sure I know exactly who you're talking about. He must have been watching her at some point.
Yeah, I mean, she's bomb. Like she's so good. But she's like on a rancho. There's like chickens and like old school style, like great grandma style.
Is it just
the most amazing part of these?
Is it de mi rancho a tu cocina?
What? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is it the Mi Rancho a tu Cocina? Is that the one she has 3.2 million?
Yes. And it's so insane, because it's like, what digital equipment does she have? She's like on a ranch, and she has like a whole production.
You can hear the animals in the background. Like
I think
good audio people.
She's playing off our nostalgia, right? Of like our grandma and like our, I don't know, but let me pull it up. I found her too. I'm like, I think
it's her lifestyle. Like, but I mean, the way she eats, I'm like, dang, like. I would have a heart attack like in a day.
Okay, so Z, before you post it up now, make sure we don't get blocked. You're sharing.
Go after us. She's gonna go after us.
You quote tweet this, or I don't know, give the owner their due so we don't get blocked. I mean, that's crazy. She probably has better internet than I do. The hell?
Yeah, straight up. Yeah,
my
she's
goodness.
awesome. I'm a
That's
fan.
insane. But I mean, just the fact that I don't even know how she even got this. She's top of the game. I don't even know.
Yep.
It's amazing.
She just went viral.
Yeah.
She's goals. I want to be that abuelita.
I want to follow her. Now. She had 3 some million followers.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I wonder how they. Yeah, I don't even know. She's feeding her chickens well then. So,
Yeah.
100%.
All right. So I have a game I want to play with Brooklyn, and I'm gonna check your knowledge here. But we're not gonna do any like trivia around players or nothing. We're gonna do something a little. We just had Halloween, and I imagine a lot of people, probably decided to stay home and watch movies with their family, mostly Halloween movies, but just movies in general. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show at least 5 Mexico national players for Mexico, and then I'm gonna show 5 movie titles, 5 movies, and you're gonna try to connect which of these players will match up with this movie. So try to find the connection there, okay?
Okay.
So let's get our players first. So these are our contestants here.
Yes.
And then here, Brooke, if you go, hey, I need a lifeline, call Coronel or call Amy. Yeah, say, hey, lifeline, Coronel, help me out, or Amy, help me out. So you got to call one or the other. You can't call both.
Okay.
So our players are going to be the following, right? We have Tecatito, we have Raúl Jiménez, we have Chucky Lozano, we have Pizarro, and of course we have HH.
El
right.
guapo.
El guapo. All right. So these are our players.
Okay.
So the movies that you're gonna try to match them up with are the following.
Okay.
We got FaceOff, The Wolf of Wall Street, The Joker, Child's Play, or The Illusionist. So one of these players match up nicely with these players. So I'll give you a few seconds.
I think I only know like one.
Okay, give it.
I know these already. I
know.
Brooklyn. I already said.
Hold on, bro. Don't give up. I want you to give it a try, but then you have Lifeline, and Amy's already she sounds confident. All right, here we go. So the first one is Wolf of Wall Street. So Wolf of Wall Street, which of the 5 players is Wolf of Wall Street for you? So we got Tecatito, Jimenez, Lozano, Pizarro.
I believe in you, Brooklyn.
Okay.
I got you, Brooklyn. We got you.
Like the way that he looks, or just like the theme?
It's the title. The title gives it away.
Oh, Jimenez, right? Raúl Jimenez.
Hey, good
Oh,
job.
I get the game now. Okay.
There he is. Wolf
Good
of Wall
job.
Street.
nice
job.
nice editing on there, Z.
All right, here we go. Oh, this next one's gonna be horrible, so don't give me too much props. This one was hard. All right, Child's Play. All right, from those players, Jimenez is out. We have 4 more to go. Child's Play. What do you think?
Chucky Lozano.
Yeah, she's on a roll. Look at her.
Nice.
That horrible right there. I could not. I just just throw a face on.
I mean, you should have put my face on the clown right there, bro.
I know, right? That would have been hilarious. Yeah, man. Where you at? Where's my editing? All right, so we're good, right? 2 for 2. All right, they're gonna get hard. Might need. I don't know. I have faith you'll get this one, but don't forget your lifelines. Here we go. The Joker.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Here's a refresher. Who's left? We have Tecatito, Pizarro, and HH.
Can I phone a friend?
Yep. Yeah. Is it Amy or Coronel? Who are you gonna go for? Who's gonna help you?
Who looks more confident? Let's go with Coronel.
All right, Coronel.
Awesome. Answering the lifeline.
Hello.
I am going to say Pizarro.
Pizarro. Here we go. Yeah, you're right. Pizarro. He's well known for doing the Joker smile when he scores a goal, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. All right.
All right, we're down to 2. Brooke, you're getting close. Here we go.
All right.
Face-off. This is a hard one. Face-off. You have 2 players left. You have Corona or you have Herrera. Face-off.
I'm gonna go with Herrera only because he has gotten better looking with age.
Yeah, right on. Look at that. Perfect. Look at that.
Okay, all right, all right.
Good job. Way to go.
He has it. All right.
Wow, I'm shocked.
So the last one, pretty sure you get this.
Okay.
Right. So I'm not even gonna tell you what player's left. Now we're not gonna give it to you. You remember who's left?
Tecatito.
Yeah, bam.
Woohoo!
Good job.
Yay.
Amy right away found the connections, right? So she was just like right away. I was Tecatito. I was trying to figure out a good one. I was thinking, what would be one? Because he's known for just going in and out, finding these great opportunities at space. So I'm like the illusionist. I think that would be a great one. But let me ask Amy, what movie comes to mind for Tecatito? Because I had a hard time. Do you think this is a good one, or do you think you have another one that might be a better suit?
No, this is a good one. My favorite thing though is that Brooklyn said that it has FaceOff because he's aging well, when in fact he had. Brooklyn, I don't know if you know this, but he actually had surgery done so that he got like a nose job essentially, but he said that it was because of like a health issue or something. But that's why I thought that was the best one.
He aged well. I like that.
Yeah.
Like, no, he's aging well. Okay.
He's looking good. I was between Beauty and the Beast for that one. I didn't know. I think FaceOff was good.
That's mean. Oh my
Face-Off
god.
was good. Face-Off was good. You know what? I think with Tecatito, I think a better one would probably be. You guys are too young to remember this. A movie called Sybil
Oh yeah,
with Stanley Field, the one with the different personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's for me. I think that's what he's got. Like, he's got all kinds of things. Sometimes he wants to play with the team, and sometimes he's got drama, and sometimes he doesn't know if he's coming or
I
going.
like this because let's talk about these because these are mostly like the current generation, right? Let's talk about the older generation here. Bella. What movie would you connect Bella with?
Something with a candle. I don't know. Or like the X or something like
I got one. What's
Amy.
that one?
Amy, what would you do? Amy, what would you? What with Vela? What movie would you connect with Vela?
I was gonna say Saw because he plays his own games. And it's torture for everyone else.
That's true. That's true.
That's a good one.
That's true.
I like that. I was thinking, what's that one with Julia Roberts where she like always she's gonna get married and she disappears?
Oh, Runaway Bride?
Runaway Bride. That's Vela. I'm thinking Runaway Bride.
Oh my god.
Oh, definitely. Good job.
Well, before we move on, we gotta do we gotta do Chicharito because he's definitely hot news. What do you guys think? Movie for Chicharito in this moment?
Can I pick an episode like the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones?
I've never seen that. Tell me, fill me in. I've never seen the Game of Thrones.
No, I can't tell you. I
That's
can't
the only
tell you.
episode I know of. Yeah.
I can't tell you. You have to watch it for yourself.
Yeah,
you have to watch it for yourself. It's one of those things you have to watch for yourself. Yeah.
That's
Game
pretty
of
intense,
Thrones.
Amy. Yeah, the Red Wedding. Wow.
So can we?
Wow.
Brooke, what would you do for Chicharito? What?
I would have to make up my own movie because I feel like it's just like a big letdown, like you have like a movie where there's like high expectations and then you're just like this.
So then it's the last season of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Oh yes, the season finale of Game of Thrones. Like,
Well,
yeah.
can we talk about like Chicharito, like what's going on with him?
What is going on with him?
Yeah,
like what?
That life coach. That's
I
what's
believe
going
the
on
life
with him. That life coach has got to go. Ever since that life coach got into his life.
Oh, is that one guy? What's his name? He's always in his videos, his YouTube or his Instagram.
Yeah, the bald-headed guy.
Yeah. I don't know what
since
happened to him.
Yeah.
I feel like he just lacks confidence now. Like he doesn't command anymore. Just something. I mean, maybe he just wants to be a dad. I don't know. Like I don't know what's going on with him.
Just maybe distracting, right? He's distracted with other things, or who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. There's a lot more going on. If you watch the Gordo y la Flaca, the gossip, the Spanish version of TMZ.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they talk about obviously the relationship that the life coach is having with Chicharito's wife and all kinds of stuff. There's all
really,
and because he lives with Chicharito, apparently he lives with them in the same house, and they all travel together, and they all do these.
Oh, that's weird.
Together,
that is
and
weird.
it's just,
I searched the novella.
It's not good by any means.
I saw a novela in Chicharito's future, like his story, like
Dude,
Chicharito's story, like
and
you
he's such a
know,
nice guy too. I mean, have
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you Brooke, you've probably met Chicharito, and I'm sure
Hmm.
Amy, you probably have too, right? Super nice guy,
Yeah,
super
normal, like nice guy. Uh-huh.
nice guy, man.
I mean, isn't that kind of cause for, I mean, obviously, I don't know him on that kind of a level, but like if I was related to him, if I was his mother or something, like that's kind of alarming, I think, a little bit. Like, who is this person and why are you letting him live with you?
Yeah.
Like,
But
that's like
if
real intimate.
yeah,
yeah, that's
if I remember correct, because I don't really get too much into like the whole gossip thing about
Hmm.
it, but from what I understand is he's always had like Amy, correct me if I'm wrong. Like his family's always trying to guide him and direct him, and he kind of wants to do his own thing, right?
Mm,
And so he's got a life coach to kind of build his self esteem and kind of build, make sure he's confident with his decisions and whatnot. At least that's just what I get from it.
yeah.
So probably listening to family's advice, maybe he doesn't want to.
Hmm.
I really don't know what's going on there, man. It's all bad from on my point of view.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I mean, I guess in his, not defense, but he does have big shoes to fill, from his father and his grandfather. So maybe he has some sort of like issue with it, or yeah, he just wants to live his own life,
but
but
I mean, he's
at the
he's like the
expense
top
of.
goal scorer now, right? I mean, I think he's surpassed his grandfather, his dad and grandfather, right? I
Hmm.
mean, he's the best,
Yeah.
he's got the record. I don't know what
But
else
the
he needs to
the
prove.
one thing that we have short-term memory, and that's the issue. That's kind of part of the problem that us as fans, as media, as
Hmm.
people, however you want to call it, we have short-term memory. So we forget about what he's done in the past, and
Hmm.
it's like, what have you done for me now lately, or what have you done lately? And
Hmm.
that's kind of because we forgot he played in Real Madrid, he played in
Hmm.
Manchester United, he played in what's the German team? Help me out, Amy.
Leverkusen.
Leverkusen, yes. And I mean, he's done great, right? Done great.
Hmm.
And now he's having a terrible season, right? And now all of
We
a sudden
definitely
he
expected a
sucks.
lot.
He's worse. So
We expected an amazing, like, tráfico, right? An amazing rivalry with Vela and all that, and
He
Hmm.
hasn't
you know
played
what?
any of the games. There's been 4 El
Yeah, he's been
Tráficos
injured, I
this
think.
year, not a single one. Yeah.
is
And
it because he's been injured, right? Or is it injured?
I Yeah, it's been injuries. I think the interesting part with Chicharito is like we're all kind of saying collectively, right? There is an emotional aspect to him that as a player has followed him the entire way, whether you respected him or didn't respect him. You always said he was very humane in his approach to the game and
Hmm.
the way that
Hmm.
he handled himself mentally. I think right now though what you're seeing is just I kind of exaggerate, but it is a mess because while we had high expectations for him, the foundation of the team just isn't there. So he kind of came into
Hmm.
this mess. And then they're not, there was rumors, same thing like you, Coronel, there's no real foundation to these rumors, but there was, supposedly hearsay that Schelotto now departed, didn't really want him there.
Hmm.
So how do you fit a player that's not wanted into the system? And as somebody who's so emotional, how do you feel about not being wanted on the team? And now he's like posting on social that he's going to be better. That kind
Hmm.
of coincides with this coach leaving. So, I personally, at this point, he has a huge price tag on him. They can't get rid of him. So take this year as what it was, a failure and just a mess, and recollect and get yourself together for next season because that's all you can really do. Or else you're going to
Yeah.
go out to be, dare I say it, one of the biggest busts in MLS history, I think.
Which is tough. I mean, if you look back, that's kind of hard. Hard to get that, be that title, right? Be known for
Yeah.
that. It's
But
kind of sad.
let me ask you this. So with the age of COVID, right?
Hmm.
Um, I know that you don't want to blame COVID, but it's not a regular season, right? It's not like a regular MLS season. So it's kind of weird. But on the same token, the Lakers had just won the championship. The Dodgers just won the championship. Shortened season, bubble, they all made the restrictions. But I kind of don't. I don't really follow a lot of MLS. I do follow the Mexican players, right? Obviously,
Hmm.
but to me, I just don't feel like that the MLS season is like a regular season. Just so different, right?
It does feel
Injuries and
different.
COVID,
Yeah.
it just feels different. So it doesn't have that same. So that this season's a failure. I don't know. I
So
mean,
basically, I think what you're saying, Conan, is like maybe just kind of, we'll see what happens next year, and hopefully fans will will forgive him a little bit and cut him some
Yeah.
grace until next year. Oh, and if he, hopefully we get that Dafico that we all been wanting, because I know, a lot of fans were looking forward to that and
Hmm.
disappointed.
Yeah, I would kind of just go with the, blame it on COVID. This year, it affects everyone differently, right? Like personally, like here in LA anyway, like you can't do anything. So that has to weigh like pretty heavy, maybe on his mind, and because he can't perform the way he's supposed to perform, because it is just different. So I would wait until next season, to kind of count this whole year as a wash for a lot of people in a lot of different industries. So I won't count him out yet,
Yeah.
but if by next year it's not up to par, then yeah, there's a problem. It's probably
Yeah.
bigger than what we even think.
Well,
And I didn't to Amy's point, I didn't even think about that. Like Amy, you did mention obviously the team is kind of in rebuilding in shambles. It's like it wasn't the ideal situation for him to walk into.
Mm,
But we've also got some great players that I've seen that are still on the Galaxy. They got some great players on there. It's just not working right now.
mhm,
I don't know.
yeah. Well, we're looking forward to hopefully a better season next year and a better situation for all of us.
mhm,
Just as we're wrapping up, Brooke, I know that we were talking about what goes on behind the scenes, right?
mhm.
And with COVID, of course you were affected with everything as well because of the sporting, the
Mhm.
venue. It's not as what it is anymore. But once all this comes back, we definitely are pushing, pulling for you that you get back in
Thank
there and
you.
do what you love doing. What
Thank you.
advice would you give, up and coming young, fans of Pancho Villa's Army or just in general that would like to, you know, get into the industry? Like, what advice would you give them going into this, in this whole new year and once we get past this?
Yeah, I would say networking. Networking is so important to build your career, because you never know, like on LinkedIn, like try to find people who have the job titles that you want, connect with them, shoot them a genuine, authentic note. And most of the time, people will do like maybe an informative interview just to give you some tips on how they got to that point. But I would say networking, just being authentic and really learning a multitude of skills. Is the way I foresee things going forward after this COVID is that you're going to need to be cross functional. So, using myself as an example, like just be open minded. Like I said at the beginning, like I went in for an interview for community relations, but I ended up in something completely 100% different. Had no idea what I was doing, but it worked out and I enjoyed it. And I was still able to, work with the kids and kind of give back in that way. So I would say just be open minded, just kind of broaden your skill set as much as you can. Just keep learning, like if you want to be in game production, I'm sure you can find things on YouTube, like just try to learn the lingo and just learn as much as you can and network and just be authentic and
That's
passionate.
great. Yeah. No, that's a great call out. It's that combination of both, right? I mean,
Hmm.
continue learning, right? Like you
Hmm.
said, learning. And I mean, nowadays, there's so many outlets that you can just learn and pick things up, like the
Yep.
lingo, like you said. I like what you said about being open as well.
Hmm.
A lot of times people think that I could just walk in and get this job, right? It's like, no, you got to kind of work your way, kind
Hmm.
of put we call put your foot in the door. And like you said,
Yeah.
right, get a position in there, start developing, get to know people, and eventually those opportunities will start opening up for you, right?
Yeah, they
Uh,
will. And, and especially when you network, also just keep in mind in sports and media, everyone knows each other. So, and especially in a job like that I had, I worked in pretty much any or every stadium in the country. So we have to work with those people. So just remember to, be polite, be nice to people, just work really hard when you do have that, because in sports, and if you're a female, it's even, the world is even smaller when you're in sports
Mhm.
and you're a female. So you just have to mind yourself, be professional, and just know that everybody talks, and not in a bad way, but like I can call someone and get like like, hey, do you know this person? Like, are they cool? Are they good or whatever? So just keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. No, thank you, Brooke. I appreciate that. So, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this episode. I just want to always start out end with final thoughts. Anything you want to say or close out with. We'll close out with Brooke if there's any final thoughts. But Coronel, anything you want to say to close up?
No, I just definitely want to thank Brooke, and I want to piggyback a little bit exactly what she's talking about, because a lot of us have grown. I mean, me and Serge started this back in 2013, and just two fanboys, really, is what it was,
Hmm.
right? And then just we started doing a lot of things that we love, getting people to meet players, having media, talking to media, like we've met Wiso, Tom Marshall, Amy. I mean, just the list just grows and grows and grows. And Marco and Sarah. I mean, there's so many different people that we've met along the way that, like, and I like to take a perfect example, like Wiso, for example. Obviously, Amy knows Wiso very well. I mean, he kind of started out at the same time we did in 2013. Like me, him, and Serge, we kind of, and Caesar at the time, we met up here at a game in Phoenix, and they loved it, and they kind of, it was their side gig, and they just kind of kept on and kept on, and it's been so, I've got so much pleasure in seeing them grow and seeing them expand and do great things in the future. And just to Brooke's point, all the networking, all the hard work, doing the right things, pushing the right buttons, and the love for it. The love for it. If you have a passion for it, you could definitely be successful. And like the Amy's got a chance to go to Russia for the World Cup. I mean, like, she loves soccer and doing, being a journalist and two things she loves, and then she got a chance to go to the World Cup. So I mean, it's like, you look at it right now, and in 3 or 4 years, you're gonna go on and do bigger and greater things, Amy. So, just exactly to Brooke's point, just keep working at it, and networking and everything you just mentioned.
So I think what I just heard you say again also is there's patience, right? Don't expect it to happen overnight. It's a process. Follow the the process will get you there too. So Amy, any final thoughts? Anything to close out?
First of all, Brooklyn, thank you so much for talking to us. One of the things that Zarge told me when I was going to come on is, I'm on one side of the fence, and you're definitely on the other side when it comes to the production of a soccer game. So it's definitely cool to hear, first of all, that Bosnia has insane fans in the U.S.
and they like to light toilet paper on fire. I had no idea.
And they like toilet paper on fire. Yeah, but definitely that networking aspect, and like you're saying, as Latinx women in this industry, there's so few of us, but there's so much power in what can be brought together. So it's really cool to see, you be able to give us that kind of information about like what some used to be and what it is now. So definitely a cool chance to be able to speak. It was a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Thanks for jumping on as well and relieving our friend Ivan to. I think we'll get to post his bail here soon, Coronel. So,
maybe we'll leave him in there.
Maybe we'll leave him in there. Brooke, any final thoughts, anything to close out from your end?
Yeah, I mean, just thank you so much for having me on. I mean, like, I always like to say I'm just a girl. I'm just a Mexican-American girl from Wasco, like I'm nothing special. So I like to say, like, if I can do these things, so can you, whoever's listening. If you just have a goal, just keep working at it. And I'm just, my heart is bursting. I'm so thankful to even be a part of this and for even, being thought of in this way, because this is stuff I haven't like talked about in a really long time, So for me, it was like a walk down memory lane to be able to be like, oh yeah, maybe I have done some cool things. Because especially in this COVID time, it's like, I have to remember this stuff because it's hard, when you're like, oh my God, I'm just a loser, I'm unemployed, like things like that. So it was nice to remind myself of past things that I've done, and I'm hopeful for what's to come. Hopefully back in soccer. So
I'm more than confident. I mean, you've done some great things, and I mean, it's awesome.
Thank you.
Everything will get better. Everything definitely get better.
No, we definitely. Sure. I mean, I'm gonna echo what Coronel said as well. I mean, you definitely have. You put in the hard work, you've made the right network, and you just have the right attitude, right? And I think that's what's going to end up paying in the long run. So we're pulling for you. Pulling for everybody out there as well, right? That's going through what this is going on. Thank you again for spending time with us and sharing your story with us. I think it's super important for others to hear, to let them know, hey, we're not alone. We're also going through things, and we'll be all right. We'll survive. And a lot of people are looking at 2021. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? No, you don't know when this is going to change. We just got to look at the positive changes, flip the script on this. But it's just amazing. So again, thank you very much. This is El Zargento with El Coronel, with Amy, and of course with Brooke. For the next time, El Coronel signing off. Hasta la próxima, amigos.
Mi bandera lo grito por donde quiera. Mexicano 100%, no existe ni una barrera. Mucho menos nos separa una frontera. Con papel o sin papeles yo vivo a mi manera. No me importa en cualquier país. Si el cielo se pone negro gris. Escuchando a Gerardo Ortiz. Celebrando fiestas patrias con 2 Génesis.
And if you need a trophy girl to stand in, Brooke's your girl.
We're past that, Coronel. No, we don't.
No, we don't. Yeah, Coronel, did you not get that back then, man? That's 2012. Man.
Just in case, you never know. Maybe Little League might need a
Oh
trophy
my God,
presentation.
imagine.
Somebody.
Sarge was signing off already. Sarge was signing off.
Yeah, dude, I
Look at
already
all these
ended this.
messages.
I'm gonna start burning toilet paper if you don't stop talking. Speaking of that, toilet paper is starting to go away. But did you guys hear this? Here in Costco's are selling out again.
Well,
That's
I think
insane.
people are
Everybody's
prepping
getting
for next week.
everybody's getting ready for Tuesday. Yeah.
We forgot to tell people to vote.
Oh, don't forget to vote.